Shalom, shalom. Give all praise unto Yahweh by Hashem Yahweh Shah, Wahar Kakadash. Double honors to the elders and apostles at Great Millstone, those who rule well and who taught me this truth. Salutations to you brothers out there stiffly pushing in all sincerity and diligence. And shalom to the rest of the 1/3 remnant, men, women, and children from the nation of Israel, as well as a speckled bird, which are Israelites who may look like the heathen, seeking salvation at the hands of Yahweh Shah as we await this second Exodus. This is your brother Rechagabar, all right? And as you can see by the title of this lesson, man, what I want to touch on is the fact how we are in the twilight zone, all right, of this man Esau's kingdom. Okay, we're in the twilight zone, man. Now, when you go into the twilight, what that represents essentially is when you when the sun begins to set. All right, when the sun sets and you have a sliver of light left on the horizon. Okay, that is essentially what the twilight represents. You see, that's the twilight, right? So what I'm saying is that we're in a part of this man's kingdom wherein the sun, all right, is going down on this man's kingdom. You see, meaning they're getting snatched out of power, man, right? This is why you've been hearing the warnings of black summer, you see, of a dark winter, right? How winter is coming, and that's a Game of Thrones reference, man. Dealing with the long night, okay? Because as this man gets hurled out of power, right? This man gets snatched out of power, man. Scriptures tell you how the day of the Lord, meaning these time frames we're in, all right? The day of the Lord is a day of darkness and not light, right? This is why you're dealing with the cost of living crisis, inflation. People are getting angrier. They're trying to roll in this NWO, right, etc., man, because these devils are out of time. You see, and one of the biggest things, that you can look at is their doomsday clock. You see, they have a doomsday clock which states their own doom. We'll just put it like that, man. They have a doomsday clock that's like a few seconds away from midnight, because they understand that at midnight, that is when some type of when you look into the doomsday clock, they say it's going to be due to climate change or a natural disaster or a nuclear war, right? Which we know those things are prophesied to happen, man. Dealing with nuclear war. You see, the pestilence and the plagues, all these things are what's going to destroy this man's kingdom. So it's very prophetic to have a doomsday clock, man, that literally goes into their own doom. Esau knows that their time's up, man, because that clock is a few seconds away from midnight. Right, and the last time they changed it was before this pandemic even kicked off. You see, and how much things have happened since March 2020 up until now? It's been damn near almost 3 years, man, since this deal has kicked off, and these devils haven't moved that clock, right? But guess what, man? They don't have to move. We have a prophetic clock, and we know exactly what time it is, right? We know exactly what time it is, man. You see, these devils are getting kicked out. Okay, so what I want to deal with in this lesson is how, we're in the twilight zone of this man's kingdom, man. Meaning that sun is going down, the clock is about to strike midnight, and boom, them devils about to be snatched out of power. Okay, now when you go into the scriptures, all right, the prophet Esdras, okay, who lived during the time of the Medo-Persian captivity, all right, he gives you a perfect clock as far as how long this current age on this earth would last. You see, now we're going to go ahead and jump there. This is 2nd Esdras chapter 14, and we're going to start at verse 10. It says, "For the world hath lost his youth, and the times begin to wax old." All right, now keep in mind, okay, Esdras lived during the time of the Medo-Persian captivity. So the Medo-Persian captivity, all right, was around the 6th century BC. Okay, the 6th century BC, man. So this would be the year 501 to 600 BC. Okay, that's the time of the 6th century BC. Okay, now Esdras lived when the Persians overthrew the Babylonians, right? And that was essentially in 538 BC. Okay. So Esdras lived about 500 years before Yahweh Shah came on the earth. We'll just put it like that. Okay, he lived about 500 years before Yahweh Shah came on the earth. Okay, and when Yahweh Shah came on the earth, we understand that is the year 1 AD, or in other words, the year of our Lord. Okay, so you know that the timeline essentially begins with Yahushua when he's born. That is the year 1 AD, all the way up until where we are now, which is what, 2022, right? 2022. Okay, so that would tell you that's what, about 2,000 years after Yahushua. Okay, about 2,000 years after Yahushua was on this earth. All right, it's a time frame we're living in. Okay, and I'm going into this for a reason, man, because you're about to find out that we are literally, all right, from a prophetic clock perspective at the end of this man's rulership, and which is why everything's going on, man. Because the Most High, he deals with measures, you know, and he does things in seasons, right? You know, so when a certain season hits, you know, or when a certain measure is fulfilled, that's when the Most High acts, man. And he doesn't waver or shift away from that, right? So when he tells you, as we're about to read, that the earth is divided into 12 parts, guess what, man? At the end of that 12 parts, that is it. Done, finito, man. You see? And that's why we're at the end of the twilight zone of this man's kingdom. So let's grab it. It says, verse 11. For the world is divided into 12 parts. All right, and each part represents 1,000-year period, man. As you understand, the Most High, he deals with the fact that a day to him is 1,000 years to us. Okay, so when you go into creation, right, each of those days, right, represented 1,000-year period. Okay, each of those days represented 1,000-year period, man. All right. So it says, for the world is divided into 12 parts, and the 10 parts of it are gone already, and half of a 10th part. Okay, so the earth is divided into 12 parts. This current age or era is divided into 12 parts, essentially meaning 12,000 years is the climax of this current era, right? Now, when you read this here, all right, the world is divided into 12 parts, and the 10 parts of it are gone already, and half of a 10th part. In your mind, you're thinking, okay, 10 parts plus half of a 10th part, so that's 10.5 years, right? So that's 10,500 years. So what remains should be 1,500 years, right? No, because when you understand it, essentially, when you're dealing with timelines, you know, and how they, you know, it essentially counts backwards. I'll just put it like that, right? When you had, it essentially counts backwards, man. When you deal with the 6th century BC, okay, it's not the year 600 up until 700, right? It's the year 501 up until 600, right? So it essentially counts backwards, okay? So when Esdras is saying that 10 parts of it are gone already and half of a 10th part, you know, before you gain an understanding of how that, this stuff works, before you look it up, right? It's not 10 and a half or 10,500 years, it's 9,500 years, okay? So from the point of Genesis 1 and 1, all right, the initial start of creation, which would have been around 10,000, around 10,000 BC, 10,000 years before Yahushua, okay? That would have been the 10th millennium BC, okay? So that was about 10,000 years before Yahushua came on the earth, all right? Now, when you read in Genesis, you understand that mankind and all the living creatures were created on the 5th day, okay? So that represents the 5,000th year, right? So that would have been, 4001 up into 5,000 BC, okay? So from Genesis 1 and 1, okay, at the initial start of creation, all right, 10,000 BC, up until mankind and all the living creatures were created, that was a 5,000 year time span, okay? That was a 5,000 year time span, man, okay? Because 1,000 years is a day to the Most High. So that was 5,000 years. And then from the initial point when mankind was created, you read about Adam and Eve, okay, and their generations, okay? From that point up until the Persian captivity was about 4,500 years, man. You see, there's obviously a lot of history in that, but we're trying to paint this picture for you. See, so from when mankind was created, 5000 BC, up until Esdras came on the scene during the Persian captivity during 538 BC. That was about a 4,500 year time span, man. So when you add up the initial start of creation, 10,000 BC, all the way up until 538 BC, you get about 9,500 years. Okay, you get about 9,500 years, man. So Esdras here is saying, for the world is divided into 12 parts, and the 10 parts of it are gone already, and half of a 10th part. And we understand how these timelines and things work. You understand it essentially counts backwards, right? You can look this up, go into it. Okay, so what he's saying is that 9,500 years were already gone. Okay, 9,500 years were already passed in this current era when Esdras came on the scene. Okay, verse 12. And there remaineth that which is after the half of the 10th part. Okay, so the 9,500 years was already expired, accomplished when Esdras came on the scene, and the world is divided into 12 parts. That means what? 12 minus 9.5 is 2.5. Okay, so two and a half parts would remain, right? Or in other words, 2,500 years. Okay, so Esdras, like I keep going into, was about 500 years before Yahushua came on the earth. So you add another 500 years from Esdras up until Yahushua. Okay, so that wipes away that half part, right? So now you have 2 parts remaining, 2,000 years remaining. Okay, and that's where we're at, man. What year is this? 2022. You see, so we're scriptures say no man knoweth the day nor hour, but we know without a shadow of a doubt we are in a smack dab of the last Twilight zone part of this man's rulership, man. And I hope that made sense, but just do a quick recap on it, man. 10,000 years before Yahushua came on the earth was the start of creation. That's when the Elohim first began creating everything, man. Okay, 5,000 years after the start of creation is when mankind was created. Okay, and about 4,500 years after mankind was created, Esdras came on the scene during the Persian captivity, and that's when he said essentially 9,500 years had already passed on this current earth, this current era, and 2.5 parts remain, right? So 500 years after Esdras, you have Yahushua. So that does away with that the half part of 2.5. So that means you had 2 parts remaining after Yahushua, and that gives you those 2,000 years that we're in now, man. Those 2,000 years that transpired after Yahushua, the time that we're in now. You see, and I hope that made sense. But just showing you that we're literally at the end, and that's why they have a doomsday clock. That what does the clock go up to? 12, right? Clock goes up to 12. Represent midnight, man, because they know when midnight strikes, boom, that's it. That is it. And we're at that point, man, where that last little light, sliver of light is on the horizon, and we're entering into the nighttime. You see, which represents this man coming out of power and their destruction and Jacob's trouble and all hell breaking loose and all those things, man. Essentially the day of the Lord. Okay. And I hope that made sense. All right, to you brothers and out there. All right, but I'm gonna go ahead and jump over to Psalms. We'll go to Psalms, the 30th chapter. Okay. Because as this man gets taken out of kingdom, man, as we're in the twilight part of this man's kingdom, the sun is going to rise after this, man. The sun is about to rise for the elect in the nation of Israel, starting with the elect, man. Okay, what happens, man, when the sun goes down? When the sun goes down, that represents the start of a new day. Okay, from evening until evening represents a day. Okay, it's not how they tell you, morning to morning, right? When you wake up, 7 o'clock to 7 o'clock represents a morning. No, okay, that's not how it is based on the scriptures. Essentially, it's when the sun goes down, that's when the day begins. All right, when the sun sets is when the day begins. Okay, so as the sun's going down on this man's kingdom, and you got the last sliver of light, right, that twilight. Okay, we're coming into a new day. Put it like that. We're coming into a new era, a new beginning, man. Okay, because when the sun goes down, you have the night comes, and then what happens? The sun essentially rises again, and you have a new day, right? When when the sun sets. Okay. All right, but slock you. All right. This is Psalm chapter 30, verse 5, man. It says, "For his anger endured but a moment. In his favor is life. Weeping may endure for a night, but joy cometh in the morning." Okay, so joy is coming in the morning for us, man. We're gonna have to endure this long night, right? Which is not gonna be long, okay? Because scriptures tell you the Most High is gonna have to speed these days up for the elect. All right, and how he's gonna make a speedy riddance of them that dwell in the land, right? So when Jacob trouble fully pop out, okay, the time that no man's ever seen before, preceding Daniel 12:1. All right, time is going to just continue to move, speed up, man. You see, every day you're gonna be like, damn, that was quick. That just like from when this pandemic first started all the way up until now, man. This has been about 2.5 years, all right, and it doesn't even feel like that. It's just been going fast as hell because of prophecy. Okay, so how much more so when things fully break out, and we're not stuck to this 9 to 5 and this typical day-to-day of society. When this shit collapses, man, how fast, how much more so? You see, how much more so, man? But yeah, it says, weeping may endure for a night, but joy cometh in the morning. Okay, so we're gonna get through this night, man. You see, we're gonna get through this night, okay? Because joy is coming in the morning for the nation of Israel, man, starting with the elect. Okay, this is Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 7. All right, we're gonna start at verse 29. Okay. Bear with me. It says, we're going to go ahead and start at verse 28. "For the Most High loveth none but him that dwelleth with wisdom. For she is more beautiful than the sun, and above all the order of stars. Being compared with the light, she is found before it." Okay, so this light represents power, okay, rulership, okay, and all those things, man. That's what the light represents. Okay, so Esau's light is being snatched from them, man. All right, their candle is being snuffed out, right? We're in the twilight of this man's kingdom, man. The night's coming. Okay, this is it for him. All right, this is it for Esau, man. That's what scripture tell you in Obadiah, the book of Obadiah, going into, ultimately the demise of Esau, the nation of Edom, how there's going to be none understanding left in them, man. Why? Because they're getting taken out of power, man. And all the nations are seeing their shame, all right, and the shameful spewing on their kingdom, okay? And these devils are about to be destroyed by bricks, in all those nations, man, okay? Because they're getting taken out of power, man. So there's no light that are found within these devils, okay? It says, "For she is more beautiful than the sun, and above all the order of stars, being compared with the light, she is found before it. For after this cometh night," right? "For after this cometh night, but vice shall not prevail against wisdom." Okay, and vice represents bad times and evil, essentially these times that are about to be seen on the earth, right? So it says, "For after this cometh night," man. We're in a twilight zone. We're entering into that long night, man, of this man's kingdom. Okay, of times of trouble that you've never seen before, chaos, anarchy, sedition, all right, man, all types of shit, man. But guess what? But vice, those bad times, will not prevail against wisdom, man. They won't prevail against the elect. You see, they won't prevail against the elect, man, because of this power, right? This light that we have is going to shine through the darkness, man, and it's going to lead into the kingdom, right? Which we're going to, we're trying to building up into the point that after the sun sets on this man's kingdom, as it's setting, or in the twilight part of it, that last sliver of light, all right, the sun is about to arise for us, man, meaning we're about to rise in the power. We're rising in the power. I'll put it like that. Not about to, we're rising in the power, man. Okay. So let's go ahead and jump over to the book of Job. Job 22 and 28. It says, "Thou shall also decree a thing, and it shall be established unto thee. And the light shall shine upon thy ways. You see that? So that light represents wisdom, power, rulership, okay? Is about to shine before us, man. We're at the point where literally we can see the light at the end of the tunnel, and we are vastly approaching it, okay? We can see the sun set on this man's kingdom, all right? And we know that the sun is going to rise again on our behalf, man. That's the point where we're at, all right? It says, thou shalt also decree a thing, and it shall be established unto thee. And the light shall shine upon thy ways, man. Meaning everything we're about to set our hands to, okay, is going to prosper. You see, going into the kingdom, man, everything that we're going to do, you know, everything we're going to pursue, everything we set our minds to is going to prosper. It says, and the light shall shine upon thy ways, man. Now I got to go to Isaiah, the 60th chapter, because this is going directly into the kingdom, man. This night won't last forever. I'll just put it like that. All right. There's Isaiah chapter 60 from the top. It says, arise, shine, for thy light is come, and the glory of Yahweh is risen upon thee, man. You see that? So what's synonymous with Esau light being snuffed out is that our light rises, okay? As Esau's light darkens and dims, our light rises, man. Our light begins to shine. It says, arise, shine, for thy light is come, and the glory of the Lord Yahweh is risen upon thee. For behold, the darkness shall cover the earth, and gross darkness the people. But the Lord Yahweh shall arise upon thee, and his glory shall be seen in thee. You see that? That's the point. Israelites are being put up on back in the rulership, as these other nations are going to fall out of power, man, and stay out forever. Okay? These nations are about to destroy Babylon the Great. And then you got Russia and China thinking they're about to be the next world power. No, we're at the end part, as we just went over, okay? And at the end of the part, when you go into Daniel, matter of fact, let's go ahead and go there. When you go into the book of Daniel, man, I believe the 7th chapter, okay? When you go into the book of Daniel, man, at the last part of that statue, there is no more heathen that's going to be ruling, okay? There's going to be no more heathen ruling, man. All right, so this is the book of Daniel. Chapter 7, and we're gonna go down to the bottom, okay? Because this is it, man. As Esau gets snuffed out, they're the last ones, man. They were the last. I can't even say hope for these heathen, because it was already prophesied that this was it. You know, preceding the 2nd Esdras 6 and 8, right? Esau's the end of the earth, the end of the age, the end of this 12-part era, and Jacob's the beginning of it that followed, man. You cannot get around it. It's Daniel chapter 7, and we're gonna skip down verse 26. Beautiful. It says, but the judgment shall sit, and they shall take away his dominion, Esau's, to consume and to destroy it unto the end. This is why these nations are gathering up for war, man. They think in their minds that they're gonna be building up for this next quote-unquote new world that they're trying to build. Not gonna happen. Well, they're destroying this man's kingdom so that we can come into power, man. You see? And we're gonna have a hand in the destruction of this man's kingdom, okay? Scriptures tell you the saints of the Most High shall take the kingdom and possess it forever, okay? And you read in Jeremiah the 50th chapter how we're going to go through destroying these different armies when we get that power, man. You see? But verse 26, but the judgment shall sit, and they shall take away his dominion, to consume and to destroy it unto the end. And the kingdom and dominion and the greatness of the kingdom under the whole heaven shall be given to the people of the saints of the Most High, whose kingdom is an everlasting kingdom, and all dominions shall serve and obey him. You see that? All dominions and kingdoms shall serve and obey who? The saints of the Most High, man, the Israelites. So-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, starting with the elect. Let me reread that again, verse 27, man. And the kingdom and dominion and the greatness of the kingdom under the whole heaven shall be given to the people of the saints of the Most High, whose kingdom is an everlasting kingdom, and all dominions shall serve and obey him. See that? It's going to be an everlasting thing, man. You're not going to be able to take us out of power. This is it for these heathen, man. We're at the bottom of that statue, which you read in Daniel 7, okay? You know, Daniel, the 2nd chapter, Salakia, right? We're at the bottom of that statue, which I'm gonna go there too. And this is it for the heathen, man. This is Daniel chapter 2, in verse 44. It says, in the days of these kings that this is referring to represent Babylon the Great, their allies, the 10 horns, which is NATO. You see the EU, okay? And in the days of these kings shall the Most High of heaven set up a kingdom which shall never be destroyed. And the kingdom shall not be left to other people, but it shall break in pieces and consume all these kingdoms, and it shall stand forever. And that's the point, man. That's the point. The sun is rising, okay? Or Salaki, the sun is setting forever on Esau's kingdom, okay? And it's about to arise on our behalf, man. Meaning we're coming into rulership, we're coming into power hot. We coming in hot, man. All right. The water Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shah, man, he's snatching these devils out of power. He's literally speeding up time, okay? Literally speeding up time, okay? And we're at the end part, man. Like, we don't know the day and hour, but when you do do the math on that timeline, right? And all those things, man, we can't be more at the end than we are now. You see, we can't be more at the end than we are now, and that's why prophecy is flourishing, right? Habakkuk 2, okay? Habakkuk 2 and 3, man, you know, how the vision was set for a moment, but at the end it will come and it will not tarry. Yeah, if you can't see that, man, the Most High is just not dealing with you, man, you know, because of the prophets, man, we see this deal. It's phenomenal, man. But with that, you know, I'm going to say shalom to the next one. Call halal yom la Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shah Wahar Kakadash. Shalom to the next one.